Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. As we approach the age of 50 and beyond, we find ourselves trying to find ways that we can not only maintain our health, but perhaps increase our ability to be able to stretch and be able to be pliable and younger with each passing day. So we try to bring on the Beyond 50 radio program modalities and ways that we can actually achieve these particular goals by having natural ways that we can do this. On the program today, I'm about to present something that to me is very unique. In fact, I quite frankly, after 10 years of broadcasting, haven't heard anything quite like this before. It's simply known as Yamuna Body Logic. And what we're going to be talking about today is what that is and how it can help people age not only more gracefully, but perhaps turn back the hands of time so we can get that youth back that we used to feel. On the program today, I'd like to talk with the practitioner of this particular modality, Miss Kat Bird. Kat, thank you for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program.
Thanks, Daniel, for having me.
Now, what does Yamuna actually mean? Where did this come from?
Well, actually, it's Yamuna.
Yamuna, okay. Yamuna, I'm sorry.
Actually, this is the name of the woman who created this vast body of work based on the body's logical system. And so she originally created a hands-on modality, so a practitioner working on someone, which is called body logic. And from that, she created another body of work, which she called Yamuna body rolling, which is actually learning how to roll your own body on these small balls, inflatable balls. And the work actually encompasses so much more than that. There's also work focused on the feet and even the face. It's extremely effective, just a therapeutic system to reduce pain, improve posture, and range of motion.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense, too, because I remember some years ago that I had an extreme pain, actually, along my spine up under my shoulder blade. And this was one of those things that I just couldn't get it to go away no matter what I did. And the best thing I could even think of was I had a tennis ball, and I pressed myself against it as hard as I could, and it gave me a nice deep massage, but it still didn't help as much as I had hoped it did. But this here really sounds, it's interesting. It really is. How was it really developed?
Well, it was originally she came from a yoga background, and Yamuna actually, through her own destabilization of her pelvis through childbirth, she just became very obsessed with the fact that there's a lot of times we have things go on in the body and we can't get an answer. And we go around and we search many modalities and we try so many things, and yet there seems to be some missing pieces of the puzzle of the body. And so she just became very obsessed with the anatomy and how do we get into the body and release the traumas that have happened to it so that we can actually get back into better balance in the body.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get started with something like this? Like I said, I'd never heard of this before, so it's interesting how these things kind of arise, and then you hear about them and you think of the common sense that's behind them, and it's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, it really is. My path was that when I was young, I was actually a stunt person and did choreography.
A stunt person?
Stunt person. So I was doing sword fighting and falling and lots of crazy stuff. And, a lot of us when we're in our early years, we kind of push our bodies really hard and we do things that are slightly foolish. And at some point they start to come back to haunt us.
No, they don't haunt us. They do more than that.
So, I had some really bad injuries in my spine, all the way from my pelvis all the way up into my entire spine. And, I was just in constant pain, and I tried everything. I went everywhere. And I find that a lot of people who get to this work, they have done that same thing, just massage and chiropractic and doctors and acupuncture, yoga, dance, some of those things really helped and assisted for a time, but I was never fully, pain-free. There was always pain. And sometimes when I would do the things that I love, dance or yoga, I would dislocate, or my neck would just go out and I'd be on the floor. So I really began this quest to heal myself. And when I found this modality, it was like you said, it was just unlike anything else that I had tried.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me such profound healing, I just had to learn it. And so I kind of became obsessed and so inspired. And I think that process of myself going through that horrible injury and coming back from it, it really has given me this compassion and passion for when people are in pain, because it's so hard to live in pain. And the thing that I really love about this work is that what I like to offer people is that this is independence. Because when I was in a lot of pain, I was chasing, pain chasing kind of, going from person to person, spending a lot of money, a lot of time, and feeling pretty hopeless and desperate. Mm-hmm. And by having this work, by getting the body logic, which is the hands-on work, and then really learning the body rolling on the balls, it just changed everything. Mm-hmm. And I became actually pain-free and realized some of my personal goals, which were I wanted to be able to sit.
I know, it's kind of funny how the simplest things that we took for granted become those things you pray you wished you could get back to having.
Right. I just wanted to be able to sit tall and still. And so when I achieved that, that was just a huge, huge accomplishment for my life, really. And that's what I like this work, is because it gives people hope. I see people exhausting medical system, and they get injections and surgery, medication, and then at some point they're kind of told, well, this is as good as it gets, get used to it. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that. I see people with these diagnoses come in and find this work and find lasting results by actually getting to know your own body. Mm-hmm. And do your own work.
I think this would have been a great modality for John Wayne.
Yeah, it's healing for the independent man.
Now, you say that this is the use of, rubber balls. I mean, is that specifically what they use? Or tell us how you give us an idea of what it is and sort of how it works, but what happens when somebody says, okay, I want to do this? What exactly happens here?
So I offer a couple of different things, right? There's the body logic, which is the hands-on work, but the body rolling, which I think is what you're talking about, is on balls. And these are inflatable plastic balls. So they range in size from about 4 inches of diameter to 10 inches. And they are, inflatable. So you can really make them harder or softer, depending on where you're working, what your needs are. So really, this work can be modified for everyone. It can be appropriate for people with osteoporosis, with fibromyalgia. Everyone can do this work. And with body rolling, you are learning these very specific routines of how to roll your body out in a specific way. Like you said, when you had the pain and you took the ball and you stuck it there and you kind of just rubbed and hoped that it would go away, instead of that idea, we are actually really looking at the anatomy. How does the body come together? And so if we are rolling, how are we going to get the best release? And the thing that makes Yamuna's work different from any other work almost that I find is that we're really concentrated on bone. And so we start with stimulation of the bone, and then we work each muscle from where it begins to where it ends on that next bone. And so by doing that, we're elongating the muscles and opening the joints. And so everything starts to float up, start to improve our posture. And we're really concentrating on bone. And so we're stimulating that bone. So instead of becoming more rigid in our bones and then becoming more brittle, we're actually creating sort of this breath, this suppleness and aliveness to the bone. So, when the doctor says, oh, you should be doing a weight-bearing activity, so go lift some soup cans, what we're doing is we are doing a weight-bearing activity in body rolling, because you're actually bearing your own weight into the ball to do the work, and we're getting to the bone. So it's I think it's an amazing piece of education we're not really getting out there. And
now, Kat, does this actually spring from, because you had mentioned yoga earlier in the program, from something like that, or acupressure, or anything like that, or she just one day just kind of sat under a rubber tree and said, hey, I've got an idea here, and I'm going to go with it and implement some rubber and plastic balls, and the next thing you know, we've got this. So.
Well, what happened originally was that it did come from yoga, because Yamuna was a yogi, and when she dislocated her pelvis, basically, when she was giving birth. And anybody who has given birth knows that incredibly bizarre things can happen to our bodies afterwards. And sometimes we have repercussions for just years and years to come. And so then she started doing hands-on work, and she started studying with other practitioners of different kinds of body work to try to make this the most complete form of body work possible. And so she was doing this hands-on work. So I do this hands-on work, which is called the body logic. And that's you coming to me as a practitioner, and I do this work to you. So it's part of the puzzle is the body logic. And so when it's like coming for a massage, but you have your clothes on, and while we're working, we're putting the body into traction, because we really want to open the body and start with bone stimulation and really make space in each vertebra, make space in the joints, start to really release the muscles away from each other so each muscle can work separately to its greatest ability. And we're working the body as part of a system. We don't just work in one area. We reintegrate the work toward a more holistic part of the body as a unit. And as she was doing this work and working on 10 or 11 people a day, because she was so just obsessed with how do I do this best work possible, there came a time when she realized, I need someone to be doing this to me. And she was training people, but she was traveling internationally, and sometimes there wasn't another practitioner. And so the ball work came from her own need for self-care. And so then she started really working with the balls. And what I find is that, yes, the body logic is an amazing hands-on modality, and if you have something serious going on in your body, it is good to have somebody get in there, find out what's going on, touch your body. But the body rolling, you're able to do to yourself, and you develop your own self-care routine. It can be used as a supplement. So if you get up in the morning and you're stiff, you can do a little body rolling, and you feel much better. Or if you're, before you go work out, or before you go play a game of golf, or after, and you get that same effect of the stretching that we all hate to do.
Yeah, nobody ever wants to warm up before a workout, it seems.
Nobody does. And I just think body rolling is so much fun compared to just stretching.
Right. That's funny, especially when it comes to lifting soup cans.
I know, that's
Should I use the stew or the chicken noodle? I don't know. It depends.
I think it's
Now, it's fascinating, to think about. For me, of course, in broadcasting, hearing different types of things that people do for healing the body, the mind, and the spirit is always fascinating to me. It seems like just when you think you've heard everything, something along comes and you say, well, that kind of makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense to me. Like I said, years ago when I tried the tennis ball, it felt good because it was so deep, the way that I was pushing it, against it in the chair that I had and rolling it around. But again, it just, once I was done, it just brought me no relief whatsoever, which, really kind of stunk. Maybe something like this would have been able to help me here. But the thing is, when you start reaching a point to midlife and beyond, even people who didn't fall off horses or jump out of speeding race cars like you did, still put a big toll on their bodies, even just doing simple things like office work. You wouldn't think of something like that, but after a while, gravity just kind of, does what it does. How has this been able to affect people over time when they face some of the, challenges or perhaps even traumas that they suffer from, the longevity of doing those same things that just really take a toll on the body?
Yeah, well, what I say is that what we are striving for now is body sustainability.
Right.
And this is the idea that whatever you're doing with your body, and whatever you're doing day to day, it is creating this repetitive stress sort of syndrome in your body, like you said. It's just wearing it out.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to look at, we want to keep doing those activities for as long as possible, but it's the repetitiveness of your sport or your job, just sitting in a chair, using your hands in the exact same way with your mouth, your activities, whatever your hobbies are that you really like to do, it's kind of causing something that makes the body break down just because of its nature of you just are still doing it the same way all the time. So we want you to be able to do what you want to do for as long as possible, but we have to find a way to get into the body and release the trauma, really, that comes from that repetitive stuff and from past injury. When we're injured, you could be injured when you're a child, and that injury that we don't think much of because we bounce back so quickly when we're young can really carry over and cause trouble later on in the body. And so if we can release the muscles that have been overworked because they're the ones that are being constantly used, or they have compensated for, say you have a broken leg, your other leg has to work so much harder.
Mm-hmm.
And reactivate those muscles that have stopped working so much. And then we've got to create more space in the body. Like you said, that gravity system, right? Everything in the body as we age is collapsing inward and downward. So we've got to start creating more space so that we have more freedom in the body, so we have more range of motion and ability to move without pain. And, if we create that space, this is what I like to just talk a lot about, the space, that I think that when we're in that chronic sort of tight pain, I think that we can understand really the idea that it feels like there's no space in my body for everything to move. Sort of things are squashed together. So we need to create space between each and every vertebra of the spine, in the shoulder, in the hips, in the knee. Things are going to work better. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be less pain. There's less of the situation of that bone-on-bone wear and tear. That is the reason why we need those replacement surgeries. And then we're going to be able to do our activities. We're going to be able to to do the things that we really love for a lot longer than we thought we could.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kat, what about this particular work was so attractive to you? I mean, we're talking here, folks, with somebody who was a stunt person. Not a stunt woman, she was a stunt person. Means you played both men, women, and probably animals all at the same time. Who knows? But no, it's interesting because, I mean, you're somebody who, you're out there and you're kind of taking a beating. You're not somebody who's pushing a mouse around, and paper, but, seriously pushing your body to the limits.
Right. Well, and at a certain time, your body hits a wall, and then you can't push it anymore, and you've got to stop. And
it's almost like your body looks in the mirror at you and says, "God, you act like you hate me." Which kind of brings me to an interesting point, and I wonder because you do, you're a body sustainability coach, and for me, this awareness actually came within the last year. And I never thought about it this way before, but how many of us really feel like we're in our bodies? Mm-hmm. Okay? Because I think most of the time, and I think especially in America, that we tend to think of ourselves separate from our bodies, but we just have to be here, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, because when I work with people, especially people who have been very athletic, and I worked with people who have been, Olympic level people, and then people who have just gotten out there and every single day gone on that run, no matter what, and it's like we are overriding our body, and our body will say, hey, you need to stop now, and we'll push through, because we're really taught, and I think it is maybe a little bit of an American thing, to just push through, to push beyond. And so we kind of override our body, and we're not listening to the pain. And when we don't listen to the pain becomes louder and louder and louder until really we can't ignore that anymore.
Right.
So I think that a lot of people kind of reach that and they go, oh, wow, maybe if I had stopped at mile 3 when...
Right. But do you agree, Kat, with the people that you've worked with, that there tends to be that feeling or that thought that they're separate from their body? Like, it really is a machine, and although it's an incredible, magnificent machine, they tend to treat their cars better than they treat themselves.
Right. So this is absolutely, and this is a way to get that tune-up. Mm-hmm. And in body rolling, we don't go with the maxim that no pain, no gain.
Right.
We're actually thinking that we're using our breath, and we're waiting, and we're releasing, and we're actually learning a little bit of how to relax in the work. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. But when we do, our body really responds so well.
Hmm. Now, is this something that you tend to do one-on-one with people, or is it sort of a class setting where there are a few people? How is it?
I do one-on-one. I do sessions with people where I'm doing we're doing the body logic on people. Mm-hmm. And then I do one-on-one privates for body rolling, so we learn about the balls. Or sometimes I'll go out if there's a group of people and they're like, well, we've got this group of friends. We always get together on Tuesday night. Maybe you would come out and do a class, and that's something that I've done. And then I also teach regular classes at Soma Space in Portland on the second and the fourth Tuesday, and that's in Hollywood. And then I also teach workshops around town.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kat, tell us, what kind of changes have you seen in people where they come to you and you think, boy, you're really a mess, and, sort of like a before and after?
I just see amazing things happen in people's bodies, especially when it comes to posture and back issues, back pain, and things like whiplash, it's being, really compressed in the body and having really low flexibility. I've even seen people with frozen shoulders, thoracic outlet, just that chronic pain and tightness really get a lot of benefit from this work.
Mm-hmm.
And it, the thing is that I love about it is it really is for everybody. So even if you're not really an athlete, or even if you've actually gotten to a point where I can't hold myself up on this arm anymore, the thing that I like to offer is that there's always a modification for everybody. And so you can't put weights in a certain body. If you can't get down on the floor,
mm-hmm.
we can put you in a different place. So you can be pressing against the wall or in a chair or even in the bed to really start to release the trauma, the impact, get the pain out of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it in a different way so that for no matter where you are on your journey towards healing, that you really can take this education and get some relief.
Mm-hmm. Now you're located in Portland, Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is this something that people can find out, nationwide, for instance?
There is.
Okay.
There are practitioners nationwide. And if you go to Yamuna's website, which is YamunaBodyRolling.com,
mm-hmm.
she has a list of all the practitioners that work worldwide, actually.
Very exciting stuff. I really appreciate being able to, hear about these new things here. Do people actually seem to have a lot of fun when they show up and do this?
Yeah, you can't take yourself too seriously when you're rolling around on a ball.
Am I doing this right? I don't know. It's a ball. Roll around on it and see where you end up.
We have a good time. I really, really love teaching the group classes. It just it's a real treat to see people understand their own anatomy. We spend a bit of time talking about the anatomy and the function, and then why do you have the pain that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we get out of it? And how do you take these tools and education and be able to, anytime, day or night, no matter where you are, get on your ball and get some relief?
Right. So it's about time to get on the ball is what you're saying.
Absolutely time to get on the ball.
I love that. Now, Kat, is there a website people can find out more about your work?
Absolutely. So my website is Kat Bird Body Solutions. So it's K-A-T. And bird, just like the bird, and Body Solutions with an S, because there's so many solutions.
So remember, folks, get the ball rolling and get your body moving, or something like that, or get on the ball and get your body rolling. That's what we need to do. And that's at catbirdsolutions, you said, .com?
Catbird Body Solutions.
Bodysolutions.com.
Yeah, and I have a free class coming up this Tuesday night. So if anybody is just feeling like, well, that sounds interesting, I'm not sure if it's for me, but if you want to get in touch with me and find out more, come to a free class and check it out.
And if that doesn't work, there's always dodgeball in the next hallway. We'll get you moving one way or the other, right?
Not good at it. We're going to be.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Like I said earlier, this is something I've never heard of before, but it actually sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm sure that what happens is people begin to kind of start playing like children and smiling and laughing again, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's a journey through your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Really. So it's not as serious as some of our other practices that we go to a class and everything's very, very morose.
So remember, it's Catbird Body Solutions, right? .com, and that's where you can find out more about this. Kat, thank you so much for joining us here on the program today.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time.
You betcha. We want to thank you, the listeners out there. Remember, get the ball rolling and get your body moving, and find out more about this at catbirdbodysolutions.com. And if that seems like a mouthful or a large ball, be sure to visit us at beyond50radio.com, and we'll be sure to have a posting there for you as well. Again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Daniel Davis. This is the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, Live your day past halfway.